Asha has been growing closer to paramedic Sienna, and after weeks of playful flirting, the two finally go on their first official date. However, although there is obvious chemistry between them, Nina soon begins to feel that something about Sienna doesn't add up. Before the date begins, Asha is full of nerves, but Nina reassures her, telling her she looks fantastic and encouraging her to enjoy the evening. At first, everything appears to go perfectly. When Asha and Sienna return to the flat, they are both smiling after what seems to have been a successful night together. Seeing them so happy, Nina and Amy are delighted that the date went so well. But the mood suddenly changes when Sienna receives a phone call. Looking flustered, she abruptly announces that she has to leave immediately, leaving everyone wondering what could be so urgent. Later, Sienna apologizes and explains that she had to rush away because her elderly aunt needed a lift to bingo. Despite the explanation, Nina struggles to believe the story. Her doubts become even stronger when Sienna unexpectedly comes back to the flat a short time later. Not wanting to interrupt, Nina quietly peeks into Asha's bedroom, only to find Asha and Sienna in bed together. Feeling embarrassed by what she has walked in on, Nina quickly apologizes before rushing back to her own room. Unfortunately, that uncomfortable moment is only the start of the trouble. After Sienna leaves once again, Nina notices something alarming when she realizes the envelope containing her wages has disappeared. Rather than thinking she has simply misplaced it, Nina immediately suspects foul play. She shocks Asha by suggesting that Sienna may have stolen the missing money. Asha is left speechless by the accusation and finds it difficult to accept that Nina could make such a serious claim about someone she has only recently started dating. The situation raises the question of whether Nina has genuinely spotted warning signs or whether her personal feelings are affecting her judgment. Despite no longer being together, Asha and Nina have stayed incredibly close, and Nina has always wanted to protect her former partner. But is she becoming overly protective? Or could Sienna's unusual behavior really be giving Nina legitimate reasons to be suspicious? With the mysterious phone call, the sudden departure, and the disappearance of Nina's wages all adding to the mystery, it seems this could be just the beginning of a much bigger storyline. Coronation Street is set to air another disturbing chapter in Jodie Ramsey's storyline next week, as she takes her obsession to a new level by secretly pretending to be her sister online. Just when it appears that Jodie may finally have a chance to rebuild some trust with her confused and emotionally exhausted family, she makes yet another reckless decision that threatens to destroy any progress she has made. In the upcoming episodes, Jodie finally admits the truth about her involvement in Sarah's violent assault at the Platt House on the night of Carla and Lisa's wedding celebration. After months of lies and deception, she reveals that she was the person responsible for the attack and claims she has already confessed everything to the police. Presenting herself as remorseful and vulnerable, Jodie pleads for sympathy from her relatives. She explains that while the authorities decide what action to take, she has nowhere else to go and hopes her family will allow her to stay with them in the meantime. Her confession leaves everyone shocked, but it also places the Platts in an impossible position. They are forced to decide whether they should believe Jodie's apparent remorse or recognize it as another attempt to manipulate them into giving her exactly what she wants. Even after revealing such a devastating secret, Jodie still expects unconditional support from the very people she has repeatedly deceived. Her behavior leaves the family questioning whether she truly regrets her actions or is simply using guilt to keep herself close to them. So far, Shona has been one of the few people willing to give Jodie the benefit of the doubt. Despite several deeply unsettling incidents over the past few months, she has continued trying to see the good in her long-lost sister. Those strange incidents have included Jodie pretending to be baby Harper's mother while visiting the hospital and even climbing into bed beside David, leaving everyone disturbed by her increasingly unpredictable behavior. With each passing week, however, Jodie's actions become more alarming, and it begins to look as though she is pushing her family's patience far beyond its limits. Rather than keeping a low profile after her confession, Jody soon embarks on another disturbing scheme. While home alone at number 8, she opens her laptop and signs up to an online parenting forum. Instead of creating an account under her own identity, she deliberately registers using Shona's name. Posing as her sister, Jody writes a deeply emotional post describing herself as a mother who experienced a traumatic childbirth, presenting a completely false version of Shona's life to strangers on the internet. The fake online identity suggests that Jody's fascination with Shona has become even more intense. Rather than focusing on rebuilding her own future or accepting responsibility for her actions, she appears far more interested in stepping into her sister's shoes. Whether she is craving the love and acceptance that Shona receives or trying to insert herself into every aspect of the Platt family's world, her actions are becoming more unsettling with every episode. With Jody's disturbing behavior showing no signs of slowing down, her latest act of impersonation could mark the beginning of an even more dangerous chapter for the Platt family. Gary's Coronation Street future in doubt as Sarah faces a life-changing decision. Gary Windass's future in Coronation Street is hanging by a thread as Sarah Platt is forced to make a decision that could completely change both of their lives. With the murder investigation reaching its most dramatic stage yet, Gary could finally face the consequences of years spent hiding the truth. Earlier this week, Sarah was arrested in connection with the death of Theo Silverton after the police gathered enough evidence to charge her. The shocking case dates back several months when Sarah found herself in a terrifying confrontation with Theo during an explosive argument. As the situation spiraled out of control, Sarah grabbed a nearby metal pole and struck Theo in an attempt to protect herself. The blow caused him to lose his balance, sending him crashing backwards off the scaffolding before hitting the ground below. Although Sarah never intended to kill him, the incident ended in tragedy. Panicked and unsure what to do next, Sarah reached out to Gary for help. Rather than encouraging her to tell the truth, Gary immediately stepped in to cover up what had happened. Having a long history of burying dangerous secrets, he believed they could escape justice if they stayed calm and kept quiet. Gary became convinced that, with enough time, the investigation would head in another direction and someone else would ultimately be blamed for Theo's death. Believing the police had no reason to suspect them, he remained confident that their secret would stay hidden forever. Sarah, however, found it impossible to live with the guilt. The weight of what had happened slowly became too much for her to bear. Consumed by remorse and terrified by the lies she had been forced to tell, she eventually confessed everything to her boyfriend, Kit Green, who also happened to be one of the detectives involved in the investigation. By that stage, Lisa Connor Swain had already made it clear that Sarah was the main suspect in Theo's death. At the same time, Lisa had begun questioning Kit's own behavior after discovering he had tried to retrieve Sarah's clothing from the police evidence store, leading her to suspect he was helping protect his girlfriend. Once Sarah admitted the truth, Kit realized there was nothing more he could do to keep her out of prison. Visiting Sarah in her police cell, Kit explained that the evidence against her had become overwhelming. Faced with the reality of a possible murder conviction, Sarah was left frightened about what her future might hold. Remarkable run of good fortune may finally be coming to an end.